You probably heard from many successful people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, Mark Zuckerberg, others, that they used to reread books several times, in some cases a lot of times. In this video, I'll speak about the importance of rereading books, not just reading them, how it can be a completely different experience. And I'll also tell you about my favorite book. I've read more than 10 times, it's 14 I guess. Probably the most important book in my life. Hi, I'm Mike Sulpakov and I'll help you to discover great literature and to start reading books productively and consciously. And today's topic, rereading books, is vitally important for improving your conscious reading skills in several reasons. First reason is rereading books allows you to pick up on things you may have missed the first time around. When you're reading a book for the first time, especially a fiction book, you're often so focused on the plot that you missed out on smaller details that can really enhance the story and open a new layer of the book. But by rereading a book, when you already know the plot and the main points of the book, you're able to slow down and go really deep in everything that the author has included. Reason number 2. Rereading books can help you to form deeper connections with the characters and the story. When you're reading the book for the first time, you're often trying to figure out what's going to happen next. But when you already know the outcome, you can focus more on the nuances of the characters and their relationships with each other. And suddenly you develop empathy to characters and stories you skipped in the first reading. Sometimes you even find the empathy to the antagonists of the book. And that's the point where your reading experience is growing and develop in unpredictable way. Reason number 3. Rereading books can also be incredibly comforting. If you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, picking up a favorite book and rereading it can be a great way to relax and escape from the real world. For a little while at least. And that's totally fine, don't be too demanding to yourself. Rereading books could be much more beneficial than reading a new one. And if you're someone who struggles with anxiety, rereading a book can be a great way to calm your mind and find a sense of familiarity and stability. So reading something new when you're not in the right condition is not as good as read something you already know. And finally, the fourth and the main reason for me to reread a book is that it can be a completely different experience depending on what the point of your life journey you're currently at. You will never be the same person who read the book in the first time. Even it was half a year ago, and what about 1, 2, 5, maybe 10 years ago. When you revisit a book that you've read before, you're essentially having a conversation with your past self. The metaphor of ship of Theseus and the Heraclitus concept, no man ever steps in the same river twice, work here greatly. There is no way you will read the same pages in the same way, even the pages stay the same. At this context, one book that every time comes to my mind is The 12 Chairs by Ilf and Petrov. I first read it at about 10 years old, and I remember being drawn in by the absurdity of the plot and the completely crazy characters. Especially Ostap Bender, who is my perfect childhood hero to the day, like Indiana Jones. But when I reread it as an adult, my experience of it was much richer and more nuanced. As a teenager, I was mostly focused on the humor and the adventure of the story. But as an adult, I was able to pick up on the underlying social commentary and political satire that the authors had inserted in the narrative. And I also found myself sympathizing with certain characters in a way I hadn't before. And I was struck by how differently I perceived the overall tone of the book. When you revisit a book that you read before, you're essentially having a conversation with your past self. You're able to reflect on who you were then and who you are right now. The book is the constant thing, it doesn't change at all. So you can use it as a lighthouse which you see from any point of your life and understand who you are and where you are going right now. Rereading a book can be a completely different experience, and I'm sure you'll find many books that will surprise and delight you in new ways as you revisit them. Remember one thing I always speak of: reading should be joyful. It's never you who exists for a book, it's a book that exists for you. Have a nice and productive time reading good books. Thanks for watching, see you soon.